Last Sunday, my 78-year-old grandpa sat down across from my laptop, folded his arms, and said, "All right then, show me this robot everyone keeps yelling about." 20 minutes later, he'd gotten the best life advice either of us had heard in years, and here's the strange part. It didn't come from me. It came from a chatbot. Quick backstory. My grandpa doesn't do smartphones. He has a flip phone with a cracked screen, and he calls it the brick. So when I told him I make videos about artificial intelligence, he just snorted. AI, he said, like it was a dirty word. That's for young people with too much time. So I made a bet with him. 10 minutes. If the robot couldn't say anything worth hearing, he could go back to his garden and I'd never bring it up again. He shook my hand on it. That's how serious this was. Now, a quick thing for anyone new to this. A chatbot is just a computer program you talk to like a person, and it writes back. Under the hood is something called a large language model. Basically a brain that has read a huge chunk of the internet, so it can predict what a helpful answer sounds like. Think of it as a very fast, very well-read friend who never gets tired. Anyway, he sat down. I opened ChatGPT, one of the most popular free chatbots, and I said, "Ask it anything." Grandpa stared at the screen. Then he typed, with one finger, "What is the meaning of life?" The chatbot answered in about 3 seconds, "To find what matters to you, and to be useful to the people you love." Grandpa grunted. "That's decent," he said. "But anyone could write that." That's when it got interesting. He asked about the farm he sold 40 years ago. He typed, "I sold my family farm in 1986. Did I make a mistake?" The chatbot didn't jump to an answer. It asked him a question back. "What did selling it allow you to do?" Grandpa stared at the screen for a long time. Then he said, quietly, "It paid for my daughter's school and my son's." That was my mom and my uncle. He'd never framed it that way before, and that's the twist I didn't see coming. He kept asking about a friend he lost last year, about whether he'd been a good father, and every time, the chatbot didn't lecture him. It asked him a question, and it gave him space to answer. My grandpa, the man who calls his phone the brick, talked to a chatbot for 45 minutes. We blew way past the 10-minute bet. Then he asked the question that floored me. He typed, "Should I be afraid of getting old?" And the chatbot wrote back, "You're not getting older. You're getting rarer every year. There are fewer people left who remember what you remember. That makes you valuable. Don't hide it, share it." Grandpa read it out loud twice. Then he looked at me and said, "This thing listens better than most people I know." And honestly, he wasn't wrong. Here's what I learned that afternoon. And I think it's the real story. We keep treating AI like a work tool. Write this email, summarize this meeting, build this spreadsheet, and sure, it's great at that, but the most powerful thing a chatbot can do is be a thinking partner. It has no ego, it never gets bored, and it asks better follow-up questions than most humans manage. For someone who feels like nobody has time to listen, like a lot of grandparents do, that's not a gadget. That's company. And the advice wasn't really from the AI. It was from my grandpa all along. The chatbot just held up a mirror and gave him permission to look. That's the magic trick. AI doesn't replace the wisdom in the room. It helps you find it. So here's my challenge for you this weekend. Ask your own grandpa a question, or, if you're a grandpa watching this, ask one of these chatbots something that actually matters to you. Not work stuff, something real. You might be surprised what comes back. My grandpa now asks ChatGPT for advice every morning with his coffee. He still calls his phone the brick, though some things don't change. If this story gave you something, subscribe to AI Toolbox Daily for more. We bring you AI stories, tools, and tips every single day. And if you try this with someone you love, drop a comment and tell me what they asked. See you in the next one.